If I had to write a marketing slogan for the KTM Duke family, it would be this: perfect is boring. And that sums these bikes up a treat. They're not perfect, but they are definitely not boring. There are certain categories of motorcycle that kind of define a manufacturer. So if we talk about big adventure bikes, you probably immediately think of German things with boxer engines, GSs. If we talk about super bikes, you probably think kind of Ducatis, really, like that's their bag. And when it comes to KTM, obviously dirt bikes was the thing, but in road bike world, for KTM, naked, crazy naked sports bikes. That for me is what defines KTM. If you've got them to get rid of all their other vehicles, the ones left behind for me would always be big wide bars, stupid engines, kind of ugly but really garish styling, and massive amounts of fun. 30 years ago, the Duke was born from one of those brilliant rogue engineers building a lunchtime special type scenarios that have given us such great bikes over the years, like the Triumph Speed Triple. A couple of people taking the bikes the company currently made and making a stupid supermoto-y road bike out of it, and then presenting it to the bosses and going, ta-da, look what we've done. They gave that first bike the name Duke after the legendary racer Jeff Duke, and it was kind of brilliantly rubbish. It was harsh, it was vibey, it was really unforgiving, it was kickstart, for goodness sake. It was an absolute angry bugger of a thing, and at the time it gave journalists plenty to moan about, but those who loved it really loved it. 3 decades have gone since that first one came out. I've had more concussions than an NFL player would have in a whole career. KTM has got traction control, ABS, ride-by-wire throttles, all this sophisticated technology, but for all the modernisation, they kind of have held on to that uncompromising, stupid bike nature that made me fall in love with them when I was a teenager. Let's take these new Dukes for example. The 390. Now, on the surface, what they've done is they've given it a bit more torque, a bit more mid-range, it's got good power now, all still within the A2 license category, but then when you ride it, it wants to do skids, it wants to do wheelies, it wants to do drift. Straight out the box, it's a hooligan bike for doing stunts in a car park. Other manufacturers take note. Taking photos of your motorbikes in front of skateboards and graffiti is not going to make kids buy them. That doesn't work. We've been trying that for 20 years. Making them cheap, making them fun, making them all about stunts and wheelies, that gets the youth folk. That is exciting and something you can get into. Now, I'm not saying we should all put balaclavas on and wheelie down the high streets flipping the bird at old ladies. That nonsense is going to be the end of us all if it carries on. But in the right place, in a safe environment, skids, stunts and wheelies are awesome, and they're probably one of the best ways to get on and learn skills on a bike. Big tick for the 390 for that. Now on the road, that new engine does actually lend itself to slightly more practical riding. You've still got to wring the neck out of it to make modern big sports bike progress, but you can have a good time getting the most out of the engine and chassis. There's a little bit of adjustment in the suspension as well, which in a bike at that class, that's pretty impressive. So you can have a good time riding it quick. You have got to rev it. They've made it a more usable road bike. But in true KTM not making it quite perfect style, it is bloody uncomfortable even when you're 5'9". It's a small bike. Now, from here it doesn't look it. From here it looks like a kind of decent sized bike. But when you get on it and sit on it for any length of time, you definitely start getting a numb bum and cramped pretty quickly. So there, you've got a bike that is brilliant for doing skids and wheelies and stunts, not so great for riding long distance rides to work on. That's a massive tick, true to original Duke roots. I've got time for that. Now moving on to the Goldilocks bike, probably the middle bear, baby bear, mama bear, daddy bear, mama bear. This is the mama bear bike, the middle one. the new Duke 990. So this one comes on to build on the success of the 890 Duke. It's no secret that that Duke 890R was one of my all-time favourite motorcycles, particularly as a road bike. It combined a really good engine with a small, compact, sharp chassis, but still with enough suspension travel to cope with the stupid rough roads that I like riding. So when they're upgrading that bike, I'm always nervous because that was my favourite. I didn't want them to mess it up. Straight out of the box, the styling is, I'm going to say, opinion splitting. There are some people that love it, there are some people that are very, very upset about it and are thinking of burning down KTM's factory because of it. That's a fairly extreme internet reaction. In the flesh, it looks pretty cool. It looks better in real life than it does in the pictures. I'm going to hold my hands up. I prefer the look of the old one, but it's not as bad as you think once you get used to that angry headlight. Now, the first thing that I noticed they've done with the new 990, it's physically bigger. And this was part of KTM's plan to make the Duke 990 more Super Dukey than the old bike was. I preferred the small skinniness of the 890. Again, that's just a personal preference thing. I like that tiny skinny bike. And just as I was about to get really sad that they'd spoiled my favorite bike, that engine absolutely redeemed everything. There's a lot of waffle about parallel twin engines these days, about how they're better for emissions, they make good power, they compact power, all the manufacturers are making them. Hands down, that one there is my favourite parallel twin engine I have ever ridden. I said it was going to be a tall ask to top the 892 car. I'm not making any claims yet, but this bike is on its way to that. I'm looking forward to riding some weird two-stroke stuff to sort of back that up in the future, but that parallel twin engine makes so much mid-range, does such a good impression of a V-twin. Obviously everyone knows the best engine configuration, but then revs out at the top as well. It is phenomenal. That for me is the standout feature of that 990 Duke. Yes, it's got a bit bigger, yes the styling's changed, but it's still got a fantastic chassis and the engine is absolutely glorious. They said in the presentation that they feel like the new 990 Duke, just the base model one, has actually moved ahead of the R model 890 in terms of performance, handling, general awesomeness. I think I agree with them. They've managed to make a bike that's got a reasonably wild spirit about it, but that's actually easy to ride and doesn't want to kill you and makes it easy to do stunts and goof around on, which is pretty awesome, really. Now, if you can ride one of them for more than 5 minutes without doing massive wheelies everywhere, give me a shout, I'll send you a free t-shirt and an instruction on how to use the clutch and the throttle properly. That thing is a hoot. But it's not just about skids and stunts. That engine lets you use all of the torque down low, drive hard off a corner, really pushing the tyre grip and have a really good connection and feel, which sounds like hippy-dippy mumbo-dumbo words, but the ability to push the throttle to the limit of grip relies on really, really good engine characteristics and really good throttle mapping. I think they've done a very, very good job on that bike. Love it. Absolutely awesome engine. But leading the way is the biggest problem child of all, the Super Duke 1390. Did the 1290 Super Duke need a bigger engine and more horsepower? No, of course not, that's ridiculous. But that sort of thinking would stop us having motorbikes in the first place. The whole point of the motorbike is it's ridiculous, and that is as ridiculous as it gets. It is an absolutely obnoxiously powerful bike. I can't think of another production bike that comes off the corner as hard as that does, or destroys rear tyres quite as quickly. It is way more than you need on the road, way more than you need on the track, but if you're looking for a good time, that's the one for the job. My favourite thing about the new Super Duke is its abuse of technology. In the same way that no sooner had people invented contactless payments than people had figured out a way to walk past you in the tube station and swipe money from your card, KTM has taken a system that was designed to be safety and careful and keep all of the bureaucrats happy and stop us getting dangerous things happening, and turned it into something to help you do wheelies. It's fantastic. So that one has a wheelie control setting set to low, medium or high. Low is for honest officer, it just came up like that, I don't know what it happened. Medium is for, yeah, I'm sorry, I I got a bit carried away with the throttle. And then high is for, yes, I know I'm going to jail, but it was definitely worth it. I love it. It's such a pointless thing, but having wheelie control on a 190 horsepower bike, it's a good idea. The fact that you can abuse it to carry your wheelies further, that's a very KTM thing. Now on track, this thing has changed over the years. I rode the very first Super Duke 1290, which was all engine and a little bit of chassis just to hold the engine to the ground. Over the years, that's changed with each generation, and this latest one is a little bit sharper, a little bit better behaved on track, a little bit more poised. It edges further and further into proper track superbike technology, but the ultimate point is this is never gonna be able to carry the same sort of track etiquette that you get from a full-on superbike. What it does do is go ridiculously fast, make every bit of track riding stupidly exciting, and put a smile on your face. Now, if you're looking for lap times, that's not your bike. If you're looking for a good time, he knows how to party. This thing feels, I'm tickling it at the moment and it feels so strong. Jeremy was saying in the briefing, this shift cam engine just has so much more now. It's probably in sports bike territory. Let's let it rip! Super Duke 1390 is still not perfect. It's vibraty as hell. My fingers were buzzing by the end of each fast track session. There is no wind protection, so on a big fast track, honestly feels like your helmet's being smushed into your face. If I could have had a head-on shot with a clear visor, I'd look like I'd hit a windscreen. I was honestly like this every lap. It is pointless as a track bike. It is pointless as a road bike. And that is the beauty of it. It is just like I started off with at the beginning. It's not perfect. It's a Duke. And it's meant to be raw, aggressive, and a little bit wild. And even in 2024, even with all this regulation and all these safety features, each one of those bikes is a bit stupid and a little bit rough around the edges. And that, for me, is a good thing.